Hello and welcome, my friends. I just want to give a quick warning. This video is absolutely full of spoilers for Scream 5 and Bodies. So, if you do not want to get spoiled on these movies, then I suggest that you click out right now. Thank you. Scream 5 is basically the newest installment in the, Scream franchise, and it was directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gidlet, who had previously directed Ready or Not from 2019 together as well, and also directed Scream 6 coming out like super soon. This marks the first time a Scream movie is not directed by Wes Craven since he sadly passed away in 2015. I'm going to start by saying that I am very pleased with this movie. When I read the first reviews for it, I saw a lot of people calling it the best Scream movie since the first one, and I need to say I might have to agree with that statement, as I am not a particular fan of the movies between 1 and 5. The Scream franchise is known for repeating its formula and doing a homage to itself on every single installment. There's always callbacks to the past movies in every new one, and this movie is no different. But they take it to the next level, and they make it work, and that's mainly because Scream 5 is a requel. And basically, a requel is a movie which revisits the subject matter of an earlier film, but it's not a remake or a linear continuation of its plot. And for this, let me talk about the opening scene. In Scream 5, we meet Tara Carpenter. And here is the first reference, because if you know the Scream franchise, you know that basically Halloween was the movie that inspired Wes Craven to make this movie. So having someone called Carpenter as the director of Halloween 1, it's a wink to the fans. And so, Tara is alone at home, preparing for a night of scary movies by making some popcorn, when she receives a very familiar and threatening call. While Tara falls for Ghostface's trick by opening up the front door and giving them enough time to sneak inside her house, Tara manages to call the police, and not only that, but she's an almighty champion because she gives Ghostface a good fight. And for the first time, the girl at the start of a Scream movie doesn't die. She survives. I felt like I needed to explain the first scene of the movie because it perfectly resumes what this movie does in its entirety. Like I said, Scream 5 is a movie that takes a lot of what the first Scream does, but with a twist. And I actually rewatched the first Scream movie to pick out the similarities and do this review, just so you know how committed I am to you, how much I desire to give you my best. And so, the first scene with Tara, it's basically a new form of the first scene we got with Drew Barrymore in the first Scream. She's making popcorn and she's talking about not liking certain horror movies. And then we have a modernized version of her closing and trying to lock the doors in her house in panic. And down from the setting, which is Woodsboro again, and the fact almost every character is tied to a legacy character somehow, the plot is almost identical to Scream 1, including the main character. So, in the first movie we had Sidney Prescott. Ghostface was going specifically after her because of what her mother did. In case you don't remember, basically Sidney's mom had an affair with Billy Loomy's father. This caused his mother to leave them, and so Billy blames Sidney's family and wants them to suffer. In this movie, our main character is Sam Carpenter. She is Tara's big sister who has to go back to Woodsboro after Tara's attack with the mission of discovering who are the new Ghostface killers, because it's obvious that they are after her and her sister. And they are after Sam because she is Billy Loomy's illegitimate daughter, so her presence in the lore of the movie ties directly into the first movie. And once again, the two Ghostface killers are going after her because of something her father did. And so, those are basically the basis of the plot for Scream 5. In my personal opinion, I think they did an awesome job with the callback and this being a requel. We revisit many characters and even locations. I loved that the final confrontation was back at Stu's house from the first one. And just like Stu and Billy were obsessed with horror movies, the two new killers are obsessed with the Star franchise. And since they are tired of cheap remakes and sequels, they know every new killing will get a movie. So they decide to take the matters into their own hands and write their own movie by killing anyone involved with the people that launched the Star franchise. So they are a new type of deranged fanatics. I love this new take because I think that the Scream franchise slightly derailed with Scream 3 being in a movie set, and then there was Scream 4, which introduced a new set of characters, but its delivery was not as successful. Making Scream 5 a requel was the smartest idea for a new Scream movie. It went back to its roots by deconstructing its own franchise and literally bringing every legacy character in some way. It sounds like an oxymoron, but it was refreshing to see this style of writing again. The screenwriters understood the basis of the franchise and made a very good job with it. Now, in my reviews, I rarely talk about the cinematography unless something really catches my attention, and this movie really did. The camera work and the choreography some scenes had really helped to build up the tension by playing with your expectations. In the first scene with Tara, there is this shot where she is resting on a counter while she is on the phone, and in both her right and left space, there's possible spaces to see something, to see Ghostface appearing in the background. There's a complete sequence with Wes alone in his house where you think he's going to get killed at every turn he gives. But then he doesn't. He gets killed later, but not where you expect him to. And those are just examples, but those are the things that tell me that there was love put into this movie. They know what are your expectations and they play with them a little. The only flaw that I found in this movie were actually the new characters. They were all part of the legacy cast, but they felt thrown to the side at some point. What took time away from actually getting to know the new cast of characters was Sam Carpenter's journey as a character. For example, in the first movie, while Sidney was undoubtedly our main character, we spent time with other characters, or at least with characters showing more of themselves. Sidney wasn't actively trying to find the killer, she was just trying to survive and hoping the police did their job. In this movie, Sam knows the killer is after her and Tara, and so we spend a lot of time with her going here and there, and the other characters are just there for some exposition. That's the main difference between Randy and his counterpart Mindy. When Randy explains the rules of surviving a scary movie, he is naturally explaining it to a bunch of his classmates because he loves horror movies and he was about to play his favorite horror movie. When Mindy tells her monologue about requels, it's just for exposition. They're trying to figure out who is the killer, and Mindy points out about it being a requel. And going back to Randy, in the first movie we got to know Randy had a crush on Sidney and that he had a very turbulent relationship with Billy and Stu. There were many scenes where the side characters shown. In Scream 5, aside from knowing Mindy is just like Randy, I didn't find out anything more about her. We spent very little time with these new characters, and Tara's friends sometimes felt like they were just there. I watched Scream 5 with my brother and somehow he did not connect that Mindy and Chad were twins. The dynamic in the friend group was never really showed because there was no time to. We spent all that time with Sam. And it is the golden rule of cinema to show and not tell, and the few facts we got from the friend group were through dialogue. We knew that Wes apparently had a crush on Tara, but because it was mentioned. Outside of the first time all of the friends go to visit Tara to the hospital, Wes never tried to be around Tara or do more to be with her. And this is what I mean when I say that we never really got to know them because at the end of the movie I didn't feel attached to anyone but Sam and Tara. As of the legacy characters, I think that they got a decent treatment. I was a bit baffled Sidney and Gale were kind of taken down by a girl much smaller than them because those two were supposed to be ready for something like this. They run and train and they always have a gun with them, but they were overpowered. I know it was needed for the tension of the final, but when they appeared, I really expect them to kick more ass. And well, Dewey dying? I cannot lie, I was surprised he actually went down, and it also felt like he should have known better. But then I need to remember these are movies, and there's a logic in them. But yeah, overall I give Scream 5 an 8.5 out of 10, and I'm very excited for Scream 6. Another movie that I finally got to watch was Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This movie is a comedy/horror movie directed by Halina Range. I hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly. And while she has been in the industry as a writer and actress, I think this might have been her first job directing because I couldn't find any other credit in her IMDb. The plot of this movie is that a group of 20-something rich dumbasses plan a hurricane party at a secluded mansion. Everything is going kind of okay because the presence of Sophie, one of their friends, seems to be not that welcome by the group. And during the first night of their hurricane vacation, out of the blue, one of them appears with their throat slit and then dies. My overall opinion of this movie is that the characters were very, very dumb, but dumb enough to make it a very fun experience. It's one of those movies where everything is so silly that you are not meant to take them seriously, but at the same time, it's not like a downright bad, stupid movie where you wonder who came up with such a stupid plot. Like I said, the movie is good, it is the characters who are dumb. In different levels of the scale, but they are. And mainly, they are dumb because they're too self-centered all the time. And now getting into a more spoilery territory, I was very surprised for this movie to have Pete Davidson being the first to die. He is on the center of the poster and he was definitely the most well-known personality in the movie. And he is the first character to die, and it is his death who sends the group into frenzy. Which leads me into the next thing that I love, and it is that this was a female-centric comedy. I do think that there's a unique chaos you can only get with female characters in their early stages of maturity. I'm using Mean Girls as an example. It is a very iconic teenage movie for a reason. There's a charm in female-centered chaos, and I loved it in this movie. And it is more enjoyable because these 5 girls are genuinely so different from one another that you get a decent matisse of personalities. This makes the movie feel alive because all the girls have very clear personalities, and some of the chaos is created because of the way they think or the way they act according to who they are. It adds to the chaos. You have 5 different people, so obviously everyone has different ideas of what they should do or how they should react, but they are scared out of their minds, so they are in different type of survival instincts. And you also have the existing drama of the friend group that is planted very early in the movie. So, with all of this, the movie feels alive because it actually has layers, no matter how superficial or simple. I am an advocate that not every movie needs to be super smart and deep, but it needs to be well made. I'm in for well-made fun movies. And I know people may not agree with me because the plot twist in the movie is that there was never a killer. Pete Davidson's dumb character slit his own throat while doing a TikTok. And then the other characters died just because the girls were in a panic frenzy. There was never a mystery, they were just a bunch of dummies. But I love that because I 100% believe you that this cast of characters were that dumb. People in real life have died or gotten injured doing stupid trends for social media, and this movie was just a hyperbole of that. And for me, this movie is a fun movie I would watch with friends to have a laugh and spend a chill time. And so I give Bodies, Bodies, Bodies a 7.5, leaning more into an 8 out of 10. If you make it to this point, thank you so much for watching the video, and let me know, did you like Scream 5? Did you like Bodies, Bodies, Bodies? What are your opinions about these movies? And also, if you have a recommendation to me, please also leave it in the comment section. And as for me, please remember that you can find me everywhere on the internet. I am on Twitter, I'm on Twitch every Wednesdays and Friday unless something happens. I'm also on Instagram and on TikTok recommending movies.